So for our prelims basket today, we are starting with this. So the first fact for today is regarding the dual administration. See, Battle of Buxar के बाद ये dual administration system of dual administration आया था. So the system of dual administration was introduced in Bengal first by whom? It was introduced by Robert Clive. Remember this. अब इसका एम बेसिकली देखिए, ये डुअल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में बेसिकली क्या था कि इस डुअल गवर्नमेंट और व्हाट वी कैन कॉल डुअल गवर्नमेंट में ये था कि ब्रिटिश इसके बाद इस डुअल गवर्नमेंट में बेसिकली ब्रिटिश हैड आर्मी एंड रेवेन्यू अपने पास and the Nawab basically was in charge of just administration. So remember, army and revenue was with the British. So revenue collect करने का right यानी कि दीवानी rights and army military power is also known as the Nizamat. ठीक है, तो इसको देख लेते हैं. So the principal aim of Clive was to make the Nawab a figurehead in the matter of administration. So this is an excerpt picked up from the NCERT straight of class 8, but it can be highly important. Now, so यहाँ पर dual administration was brought by Robert Clive and it was introduced in Bengal first by Robert Clive and इसका aim था नवाब को एक फिगर हेड बनाना in the matter of administration. Virtually उससे सारे powers ले लिए गए थे, just administration उसके हाथ में सौंप दिया गया था. So अगर आपको याद होगा बैटल ऑफ बक्सर के बारे में, तो बैटल ऑफ बक्सर, so the battle of Buxar was fought in 1764. That is 23rd October 1764, and under the forces of, it was the English versus the combined armies of Mir Qasim and Nawab, who was basically the Nawab of Bengal till 1764, and the Nawab of Awadh Shuja-ud-Dawla, and also the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. So it was them versus the English, the English forces were led by Hector Munro. अब ये बैटल सिग्निफिकेंट क्यों था? ये बैटल सिग्निफिकेंट इसलिए था क्योंकि इसके बाद कंपनी को the British basically got the Diwani rights, यानी कि the rights to collect revenue. So this was a very important battle. अब ये बैटल ऑफ बक्सर का सिग्निफिकेंस ये था कि ये एक फुल फ्लेजेड वॉर था. बैटल ऑफ प्लासी में बेसिकली कॉन्स्पिरेसी था, बट बैटल ऑफ बक्सर वाज अ फुल फ्लेजेड वॉर इफ यू रिमेंबर. एंड इसका इंपॉर्टेंस ये भी था कि इसके बाद मुगल एम्परर ऑफ इंडिया वाज डिफीटेड बाय द ब्रिटिश. तो ना सिर्फ नवाब ऑफ बंगाल वाज डिफीटेड यहाँ पर, ऑल्सो शाह आलम II, द मुगल एम्परर, and that was the Mughal Emperor of India, was defeated, though he was the fugitive emperor, but he was defeated. So this victory made British a great power in northern India and contenders for supremacy over the whole country. तो इसके बाद ये Robert Clive came up with this dual administration. तो ये देख लेते हैं, we will go through this excerpt from the NCERT, एक बार देख लेते हैं. So for that purpose, Robert Clive was basically determined to give a clear meaning with regard to the relation between the Nawab of Bengal and East India Company as a company, and the company with the Emperor of Delhi. The important point here is this: he successfully persuaded the Nawab of Bengal to practically granting the company the Nizamat or military power and criminal justice in 1765. So this is important. The company got hold of the Nizamat, that is military power. Army जो है अब company के हाथ में आ गई बंगाल में, and 6 months के अंदर Shah Alam, the Emperor Shah Alam, granted the company Diwani. Diwani का मतलब क्या है? The right to collect revenue from Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. Remember this, Bengal, Bihar and Odisha से they got the right to collect the Diwani, or they got the right to collect the revenue, that is Diwani. So thus the company remained in charge of army and revenue after this, and Nawab of Bengal remained in charge of civil and police administration. Civil and police administration किसके हाथ में था? नवाब के हाथ में. तो इस तरीके से एक dual government system establish हुआ, and the administration of Bengal was sharply divided between the company and the Nawab, and इसकी वजह से इसको क्या बुलाया जाता है? Dual government. एक sharp division था. In army plus revenue was in the hands of the British. Administration, that is civil and police administration, was in the hands of the Nawab. Next quick fact is about Chaityas and Viharas. In the Buddhist times, Chaityas kya the? Basically, Chaityas are prayer halls, whereas Viharas are basically monasteries that were built for residential purposes. So in दोनों में बस एक difference याद रखिएगा. This is pretty common. So these are Viharas and these are prayer halls known as Chaityas. And see, these Buddhist monks. During the time of Buddha, they went from place to place throughout the year teaching people. The only time they actually stayed in one place was during the rainy season. ठीक है, तो अगर एक statement आए saying that they stayed at one place throughout the year, so that is wrong. No, they moved from place to place. Teaching people. Buddhist monks moved from place to place teaching people during the time of Buddha, and the only time they actually stayed in one place was the rainy season, जब traveling जो है वो difficult हो जाता था. तो उनके supporters ने उनके लिए temporary shelters build कर दिए धीरे धीरे करके, या फिर वो नेचुरल केव्स में रहते थे. सो जैसे जैसे टाइम गया, जैसे जैसे टाइम पास, दे फेल्ट कि एक ज्यादा परमानेंट शेल्टर की जरूरत है, एंड उसके लिए मोनेस्ट्रीज जो है वो बिल्ड किए गए. दैट दोज मोनेस्ट्रीज आर नोन एज विहारास, जहाँ पे इट वाज बिल्ड फॉर बेसिकली रेसिडेंशियल पर्पसेस. And there was no Buddhism. Actually, this is another fact, कि there was no Buddhism when the earliest viharas were made. Buddhism as an organized religion came into being after the death of Buddha. बाद में ये पर्पस आया कि preaching of Dhamma was a later purpose. Initially, that was not the purpose of establishing viharas or monasteries. Initially, it was for them to have permanent shelters, these monks who used to move from place to place. And so just remember this, Chaityas kya the? Chaityas prayer halls the, and viharas were monasteries that were built for residential purposes. Next fact, the third fact is about Diclofenac. क्विकली एक चीज देख लेते हैं. यहाँ पर देखिए क्या हुआ था कि एक डाइक्लोफिनैक एक ड्रग है जो दिया जाता था टू लाइव स्टॉक फॉर एज पेन किलर्स या एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी ड्रग्स. इट वाज एडमिनिस्टर्ड टू लाइव स्टॉक फॉर एज पेन किलर्स और एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी ड्रग्स. बट ये सेंट टू इन 2006 डाइक्लोफिनैक वाज बैंड इन 2006 बिकॉज इट वाज कॉजिंग वल्चर डेथ्स. रिमेंबर दैट डाइक्लोफिनैक वाज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर वल्चर डेथ्स. क्यों, कैसे? क्योंकि जब ये वल्चर फेड on the dead body of livestock, what used to happen was that this diclofenac used to enter the bodies of the vultures and that used to lead to death. ठीक है, इसके लिए एक replacement drug develop किया गया for diclofenac, and it was proposed after tests on vultures in captivity, that is meloxicam. Remember this name. This is the replacement drug for diclofenac. Okay, so meloxicam. Remember this name. This is important. Meloxicam. So diclofenac was replaced by meloxicam. It works in the same way. ये pain relief के लिए work करता है in livestock, but this meloxicam is not toxic for vultures. अब एक छोटा सा फैक्ट ये है, ये एक स्टेटमेंट हो सकता है. इन ब्रिटिश इंडिया द पॉलिसी ऑफ पैरामाउंसी का एम क्या था? द पॉलिसी ऑफ पैरामाउंसी, सी पॉलिसी ऑफ पैरामाउंसी जो है दैट वाज डिजाइन्ड टू मेक ऑल इंडियन स्टेट्स यानी कि क्या, इंडियन प्रिंसली स्टेट्स, एक्सेप्ट द सुजरैनिटी ऑफ द ब्रिटिश or the suzerainty of British. Basically, it was to make them accept that the British have a dominant position. तो सुनने में तो बड़ा ही ट्रिवियल लग सकता है कि हाँ पैरामाउंसी तो यही होगा कि डोमिनेंट, बट यहाँ पर बेसिकली ये देखिए कि it was about asserting their dominance over the princely states, over the Indian states, and making them accept their suzerainty. Okay. So if there is a statement that says that the policy of paramountcy was about getting trading rights in coastal provinces, no. Was it about establishing subsidiary alliance in all states? No. It was about the British asserting their control and their dominance over the princely states. Okay, so the company claimed that its authority was paramount or supreme, and hence its power was greater than that of Indian states. Indian states यानी कि क्या? Indian princely states. दो तरह के स्टेट्स थे, एक तो ब्रिटिश खुद गवर्न करा था, एक थे प्रिंसली स्टेट्स. तो बेसिकली इनको असर तो प्रिंसली स्टेट्स पर ही करना था, राइट? सो इन ऑर्डर टू प्रोटेक्ट इट्स interests, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. अब अपने इस policy of paramountcy को protect करने के लिए, अपने interests को protect करने के लिए ये annex भी कर रहे थे. So basically this policy of paramountcy के बाद, ये policy जब उन्होंने अपनाई, then they came up with policy of subsidiary alliance, etc. So the policy of paramountcy does not imply subsidiary alliance, but it was followed. This policy of paramountcy was followed by policies of subsidiary alliance. And also policies like keeping British residents in the courts of the Nawabs. Next fact is about the इजरादारी system, जिसको इजरेदारी system भी बुलाया जाता है. ठीक है, इजरादारी system was introduced by, remember, Warren Hastings. ये important है. Warren Hastings introduced this in 1773, and basically we can say that this was the first land tenure system that was implemented by British in India. So Warren Hastings Ijradari system, 1773, remember, right? अब इस सिस्टम के हिसाब से क्या होता था कि there used to be bidding. तो जो सबसे ज्यादा बिड करता था उसको मिल जाता था राइट टू कलेक्ट द रेवेन्यू. द राइट टू कलेक्ट रेवेन्यू वाज गिवन टू द हाईएस्ट बिडर, जिसको बुलाया जाता था कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. मींस दैट इज कॉल्ड हु वाज कॉल्ड द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, एंड दिस वाज गिवन फॉर अ पीरियड ऑफ 5 years, right? So and then they had to pay a fixed amount. Okay, they had to pay a fixed amount to the state, remember that. Now this system failed because क्या होता था कि bidding में जो पैसा जो actually जो amount है that used to keep on going up and up, and वो land की productivity को consider किए बिना ही जो है वो bidding करते चले जा रहे थे. So basically they used to not even consider कि क्या ये land इतना capable है कि हम इससे इतना revenue extract कर सके. So that they used to not consider, and that is why it was a failure. Bidding was often not related to the actual productivity of the land. The Ijradars were not interested in making improvements in the land because land जो है वो auction किया जाता था periodically, and इसमें peasants को बहुत exploit किया जाता था by the contractors to extract more and more revenue. Ijradars basically कौन है? Ijradars were tasked with collecting revenue from the farmers. So उनका task, so the ones who used to collect the revenue, they were the Ijradars. So, and then they had to pay the fixed sum to government. Remember this, fixed sum, variable amount नहीं था, fixed था, और ये bidding के through होता था. ये भी याद रखिएगा, इजरादारी system में जो highest bidder था उसको दे दिया जाता था contract for a period of 5 years. किसने introduce किया था इसको? Warren Hastings ने introduce किया था. हालांकि ये भी कहा जाता है actually इजरादारी system it was a form of land revenue system that actually existed in the Mughal times, yani ki it was started in Shah Jahan's time and then grew in the time of Aurangzeb. But hamari, for the purposes of our exam, during the British time, it was introduced by Warren Hastings. So Ijradari system is associated with Warren Hastings. Remember that association. So remember this thing. अगर कोई एक statement ऐसा दे दिया गया है कि the revenue was connected to the productivity of the land, no, absolutely not. They were absolutely not considerate about the productivity of the land. वो बस auction किए, bidding किए जाते, करते चले जाते थे, and then they used to not be considered about, they used to not care about the productivity of the land. So this became a failure for that reason. So basically, after the Battle of Plassey, if you remember, British actually secured the Diwani rights, that is the right to collect revenue, as I said, and Robert Clive obtained the Diwani of Bengal, and there used to be annual settlements of the land revenue that time. The Ijradari system, 1773 में Warren Hastings ने introduce किया, whereby he assumed all the land belonging to the state. यानी कि he said कि जितना भी land है वो state का है. That's what he assumed, that all land belongs to the state. And ये जो इजरादारी system है, this was the first land tenure system that was implemented in India by the British. Under this system, as I told you, the right of collecting revenue of a particular area was auctioned to the highest bidder. So जो peasants थे, they had to pay their taxes to the Izredar, and who was actually the highest bidder actually. And तो ये जो सिस्टम है ये खत्म हो गया जब लॉर्ड कॉर्नवालिस इंट्रोड्यूस्ड द परमानेंट सेटलमेंट. इसके बाद परमानेंट सेटलमेंट आया था, एंड दैट परमानेंट सेटलमेंट वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बाय लॉर्ड कॉर्नवालिस in Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, and some parts of Karnataka. Now, a quick glance over what was the role of British residents who were posted in the courts of various princely states during the British time. So see, उस time पर British residents का क्या काम रहता था? See, the residents' job was basically to serve and further the interests of the company. They used to place their residents. Princely states में क्या करते थे? The British used to place their residents. इनका काम था बेसिकली इनके थ्रू कंपनी क्या करने लगा? कंपनी ऑफिशियल्स बिगैन इंटरफियरिंग इन द इंटरनल अफेयर्स ऑफ इंडियन स्टेट्स. इनके थ्रू दे स्टार्टेड टू डिसाइड कि सक्सेसर कौन होगा नेक्स्ट, कौन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पोस्ट पर किसको अपॉइंट करना है, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. सो दे स्टार्टेड एक्चुअली इंटरफियरिंग. एंड कभी कभी व्हाट द कंपनी डिड वाज इट फोर्स्ड द स्टेट्स इनटू सब्सिडरी अलायंस. This policy of placing residents was and its interference was actually against the policy of non-intervention of the British Crown as it was agreed after the 1858 Act. So now if we have a question such as this, the British residents posted in the courts of various princely states mainly played which of the following roles? Political residents who interfered in the internal affairs of the Indian states, military commanders who led revenue battalions, revenue collectors in farms, और social and cultural ambassadors who were subservient to the princely state rulers. तो obviously इसका आंसर A है. नेक्स्ट एक बहुत ही क्विक फैक्ट, हालांकि ये न्यूज में थोड़े दिन मतलब काफी दिन हो गए इसको न्यूज में, इट वाज इन न्यूज अराउंड इन जुलाई लास्ट ईयर 2021. तो बस इसके बारे में एक चीज याद रख लीजिएगा, ये चीज फिट फॉर 55 प्लान. सो दिस इज एन इनिशिएटिव ऑफ द यूरोपियन यूनियन. ये एक चीज याद रख लीजिएगा, फिट फॉर 55 प्लान इज एन इनिशिएटिव ऑफ यूरोपियन यूनियन, एंड इसका काम क्या है? इट वाज बेसिकली टू रिड्यूस कार्बन एमिशंस बस. तो बेसिकली इस प्लान के थ्रू व्हाट दे एम टू डू इज द यूरोपियन यूनियन का है, दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट, कार्बन एमिशंस कम करना है. सो विद दिस वी विल बी एबल टू एलिमिनेट द ऑप्शंस एंड वील बी एबल टू आंसर द क्वेश्चंस दैट कम. फिट फॉर 55 हालांकि थोड़ा पुराना ही हो गया है, बट एनी हाउ. So yeah, because questions can come from a lot of old current affairs as well, so we have old things in news, so this is not that old also, but yes. अब ये बेसिकली ये जो पैकेज है, दिस इट्स एम इज टू डिलीवर द एनडीसी. एनडीसी आपको पता है नेशनली डिटरमिन्ड कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस होते हैं अंडर द पेरिस एग्रीमेंट. सो कभी वो टॉपिक आएगा तो वी विल डिस्कस दैट. एंड इट अटेम्प्ट्स टू डिलीवर इट्स एनडीसीज एंड कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी गोल अचीव करना है थ्रू दीज चेंजेस एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी एक चीज यहाँ से ये कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी के बारे में देख सकते हैं. कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी क्या होता है? कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी तब अचीव होता है जब एक कंट्री की एमिशंस, कार्बन एमिशंस आर बैलेंस्ड बाय इट्स अब्जॉर्प्शंस. तो जितना एमिट कर रहा है वो कंट्री उतना ही वो अब्जॉर्ब कर रहा है, एंड द रिमूवल ऑफ ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस, बेसिकली उतना ही अब्जॉर्ब कर रहा है, उतना ही रिमूव कर रहा है ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस को, बेसिकली कार्बन. and it is also expressed as a state of net zero emissions. That is carbon neutrality. ठीक है, कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी कब अचीव होता है? जब emissions are balanced by absorptions and removal of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide. तो कार्बन अब्जॉर्प्शन कैसे इंक्रीज किया जा सकता है? देयर इज दिस कार्बन सिंक को एनहांस करके, कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन को एनहांस करके. सो बेसिकली अगर कोई कंट्री अपनी सिंक की कैपेसिटी बढ़ाती है, सी फॉरेस्ट्स आर सिंक्स, राइट? सो देयर आर कार्बन सिंक्स. So that way, by increasing the capacity, the sink capacity, we can actually achieve carbon neutrality. That is by planting more and more trees, we can do this, and there are other ways. So this is carbon neutrality. But अभी के लिए ये याद रख लीजिए, fit for 55 plan European Union to reduce carbon emissions. तो ये 55 क्यों है इसका नाम? Basically, it calls its member states, European Union Commission, The European Commission calls its member states basically to cut their output of greenhouse gases by 55% by 2030. हालांकि उतना ज़्यादा we don't have to remember, बस इतना ही काफ़ी है. The next quick fact is about mulching. Mulching में क्या होता है कि there is a layer of organic matter. ठीक है, एक जैसे यहाँ पे दिखा है in this figure it is there. So a layer of organic matter like straw जैसा कोई organic matter covers the bare ground. So this basically helps to maintain the soil moisture. So it is a covering of straw, organic matter like straw, that covers the bare ground between the plants and helps the soil to maintain moisture. अब एक चीज है, so we'll just quickly go through the benefits of this. So mulch is what? Mulch is a protective layer of a material that is spread on top of the soil, like this, like straw. Right? Organic mulches also improve the condition of the soil as these mulches slowly decompose. Remember this, they slowly decompose. They provide organic matter जिससे soil क्या रहता है, जिससे soil loose रहता है. So it helps keep the soil loose. It improves the root growth. It increases the infiltration of water and also improves the water holding capacity of the soil. So these are the benefits of mulching, right? Organic matter. So now if we're given certain statements about the advantages of mulching, we will be able to now identify what are the actual advantages. एक चीज है कि ये slowly decompose होता है. It's not fast decomposition or anything. It's slow decomposition. And see, दो तरह के there can be organic mulches and also inorganic mulches can be used. So organic matter अगर हम use करते हैं, so that can actually act as a source of plant nutrients and it provides an ideal environment for earthworms and it is also beneficial for soil organisms. तो inorganic mulches भी use कर सकते हैं, but उनमें वो properties नहीं होते, उनका जो basic purpose है वो तो fulfill हो जाएगा. So it basically can help maintain the soil moisture, but उसके बाकी benefits जो हैं, they do not have the properties that can improve the quality of the soil, right? So inorganic mulches are, because they are permanent, basically they can be difficult to remove if crop plants have to be changed. So mulching is basic. Organic mulching is much better. Next certain facts about Gram Nyayalayas. The Gram Nyayalayas or village courts. So these are established under the Gram Nyayalayas Act 2008. So they are established by an act of parliament. So that we have to remember. So these are village courts that have been established by an act of parliament. That is, the act is Gram Nyayalaya Act 2008. Iska purpose kya hai? For speedy and easy access to the justice system in rural areas of India. So it came into force in 2009, 2nd October 2009. Ek jurisdiction kya hai Gram Nyayalaya ka? That is important. See, this is a very important point. A Gram Nyayalaya has jurisdiction over an area specified by a notification of the state government in consultation with the respective high court. तो state government एक notification issue करेगा कि इस area में आपका jurisdiction है, तो उस state के अंदर इस area में इस ग्राम न्यायालय का jurisdiction है and उस हिसाब से वो ग्राम न्यायालय वहाँ के cases पर then proceed कर सकता है. And this has to be in consultation. State government will issue this notification not alone. It will issue this notification in consultation with the high court of that particular state. अब ये जो कोर्ट है, ये जो ग्राम न्यायालय है, it can function as a mobile court. This is another important fact. It can function as a mobile court and at any place within the jurisdiction. अगर इसको ये area allocated है, तो it can actually go around and it can function as a mobile court after giving wide publicity to that regard. So they have both civil and criminal jurisdiction over the offences. अब एक बहुत ही important fact, this is a very important fact rather, that Gram Nyayalayas are not bound by the rules of evidence that is provided for in the Indian Evidence Act. They are not bound by the rules of this act. Okay, that is 1872 का Indian Evidence Act. They are not bound by it and they are guided by the principles of natural justice. This is very important. Remember that. We have to remember this, that Gram Nyayalayas will be guided by the principles of natural justice, subject to any other rule that is made by the High Court. But they will function as per the principles of natural justice, and they are not bound by this Indian Evidence Act. That we have to remember. अब composition क्या है? Gram Nyayalayas are basically presided by न्यायाधिकारीज and इसका काम क्या होगा? उसका basically the न्यायाधिकारी will have the same power and the same salary and benefits of a judicial magistrate of first class. Such न्यायाधिकारी को कौन अपॉइंट, इस न्यायाधिकारी को कौन अपॉइंट करेगा? The Nyayadhikari will be appointed by the state government in consultation with the High Court of that state, just like how this notification is issued. State government will consult the High Court. यहाँ भी न्यायाधिकारीज को appoint करने के लिए state government will do that in consultation with the High Court. The concern related to this has been Supreme Court has directed states to issue notifications for establishing Gram Nyayalayas. But many of the states have actually not really taken steps to make this a strong institution or steps to notify Gram Nyayalayas. And कुछ states have actually issued, there are several states that have issued notifications for establishing these Gram Nyayalayas, but they are not functioning that well in most of the states. A fact here related to this is that, see, as of December 2021, if you see a report in PIB, it is mentioned that there are only 476 Gram Nyayalayas that have been notified so far by 15 states. 15 states have notified. So not all states have notified it. Isme se bhi, there are only 256 of them which are operational, that too in 10 states. So सारे states में operational भी नहीं है as per what is given in the PIB as of December. Next, quick facts related to India-Afghanistan. With the rise of Taliban, it actually becomes kind of relevant if we actually have a look at where India has actually spent in Afghanistan. So India has basically sunk billions into Afghanistan, and because India has given its assistance to Afghanistan in a number of capacities. तो कुछ projects देख लेते हैं जो हम याद रख सकते हैं. हम just नाम देख लेंगे एक बार, so we'll have an idea ये कि कौन-कौन से projects में India has given its assistance. ठीक है, so or it has given its partnership. So the 2011 India-Afghanistan Strategic Partnership Agreement recommitted Indian assistance to help rebuild Afghanistan's infrastructure, institutions, educational and technical assistance for capacity building in many areas. So that time this agreement had taken place anyhow. Now what is important for us? Salma Dam. Remember that India has given its assistance here. So this Salma Dam in Afghanistan, the 42 megawatt Salma Dam in Herat province, the hydropower and irrigation project completed against many odds, inaugurated in 2016, is known as the Afghan-India Friendship Dam. So Salma Dam mein India had given its assistance to Afghanistan. Then there is this Zaranj Delaram highway. So this was another high-profile project, and it was built by the Border Roads Organization. So इसमें भी India has helped them. जो parliament building था, basically the Afghan parliament in Kabul was built by India at $90 million. So the Afghan parliament at Kabul was also built by India, and it was inaugurated by our Prime Minister. Now then there is a Store Palace. So 2016 में the then Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and restored the Store Palace in Kabul. And fine, that's all we have to know. And India, and then ये एक और चीज याद रख लीजिएगा, Aga Khan Heritage Project. Maybe India pledged $1 million. But basically India, Aga Khan Heritage Project, Store Palace, the Parliament building of Afghanistan, the Zaranj Delaram Highway, and Salma Dam. These are the projects in which India has engaged with Pakistan over the years. And see, the thing is, the rise of Taliban has been in news. So stunned by its quick takeover and attacks, it is kind of worth examining what India's strategic goals were over the years, and what gains or what help have we provided over the 2 decades. So it's just relevant that we keep this in mind. These are the projects. So if given statements that say this kind of a question we come across. So India has assisted Afghanistan in a number of capacities. Some of these include engaging partnerships and supporting projects such as one Salma Dam, then two Zeranj Delaram Highway project, and then there is the Store Palace. So if you're given options 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3. So of course all we've seen all the three, right? 1, 2, 3, and then the others also that we have seen. So just एक नाम याद रखना काफी है association. Next quick fact, interstate river water disputes के बारे में. So Article 262 of the Constitution provides for the adjudication of interstate water disputes. Basically इसके तहत पार्लियामेंट अगर कोई डिस्प्यूट चल रहा है, अगर कोई डिस्प्यूट है बिटवीन शेयरिंग ऑफ रिवर वाटर या उसके ऊपर पानी कितना या फिर कंट्रोल कौन करेगा कितना पानी, बेसिकली ऑल ऑफ दैट, उसके ऊपर अगर उसको सॉल्व करने के लिए क्या कर सकता है पार्लियामेंट, क्या कर सकता है पार्लियामेंट, एक लॉ लेके आ सकता है. एंड दैट हैज बीन गिवन इन दिस आर्टिकल 262. एंड इसमें पार्लियामेंट ये भी प्रोवाइड कर सकता है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट या कोई और कोर्ट इसमें अपना जुरिस्डिक्शन एक्सरसाइज नहीं करेगा. Right, so basically we'll see this. And under this, Parliament may, by law, provide for the adjudication of any dispute or complaint with respect to the use, distribution and control of waters of any interstate river and valley. So Parliament may, by law, Parliament has to make a law for this regard. अगर इस तरीके का mechanism लाना है for the adjudication of dispute, right, related to river water. Now Parliament may also, Parliament ये भी provide कर सकता है कि Supreme Court या कोई other court इसमें interfere नहीं करेगा. Is so neither the Supreme Court nor any other court is to exercise jurisdiction in respect to such dispute. So Parliament can provide that, and it has done so in this Interstate Water Disputes Act. So basically Parliament in this, ये जो Parliament, it is given here ना कि Parliament may by law provide for this. So the Parliament in its effect brought two laws, the River Boards Act 1956 and the Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956. इसके amendments भी हुए हैं over the years. अब इसके बारे में detail में बाद में देखेंगे, but this is something that we can right now keep in mind कि Parliament can provide that neither the Supreme Court nor any other court can इसमें interfere करे, can provide that they are not going to exercise the jurisdiction in respect of any such dispute, right? Next, कुछ important चीजें हैं about this scheme, that is the next scheme, that is Udaan. Udaan is basically उड़े देश का आम नागरिक. इससे समझ में आ जाना चाहिए कि this is for making aviation economical for every आम नागरिक के लिए. It should be possible to fly, right? उड़े देश का आम नागरिक, उड़ान से याद रखिएगा. Okay, this was launched as a regional connectivity scheme under the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Okay, and 2016. Now, this was basically to develop the regional aviation market. It to provide affordable, economically viable and profitable air travel on regional routes to the common person, even in small towns. Right, so this is basically aimed at enhancing connectivity to remote and regional areas of the country and making air travel affordable. This is what we have to remember as far as the objective of the scheme is concerned. Air travel को affordable बनाना, remote areas को connect करना, regional areas को connect करना. उड़ान, उड़े देश का आम नागरिक, ठीक है, इतना याद रखिएगा. अब बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है स्कीम के बारे में, बस ये चीज़ें हैं, कुछ चीज़ें we'll see. Now small cities को metro से connect करेगा, and then it will utilize lesser used airports in the country, and it will try to give affordable flights to the people of the country. Basically ये एक key component है center के national civil aviation policy का. It is a key component of center's national civil aviation policy, and under the scheme, nearly half of the seats in Udaan flights are offered at subsidized fares. तो जितने भी seats होंगे, out of that nearly half the seats are offered at subsidized fares. And जो participating carriers होंगे उसमें, they are provided a certain amount of viability gap funding. So they are subsidized fares हैं, तो that subsidized तो जो gap होगा, that they will be provided a certain amount to cover that gap. Subsidized fares यानी कि fares तो कम करके दिया जाएगा, तो जो carriers हैं उनको जो they have to bear a certain loss, right? So to cover up that, so that the loss doesn't happen, basically subsidized. So there will be a funding that will be given in the form of this viability gap funding, and ये जो amount होगा viability gap funding का, that will be shared between the center and concerned states, right? And ये scheme जो है important, very very important point is this is going to be jointly funded by the central and state government. So we have to remember this, that it will be funded by the central and state government. There's no other way to go about it. We have to remember it as it is, that it is center and state साथ में, ठीक है. And ये okay 10 years के लिए run करेगा, all of that is fine. And हाँ, ये fourth round of Udaan जो है December 2019 में लॉन्च हुआ था with special focus on north eastern regions. All right. अब एक important point यहाँ ये है, the airports that had already been developed by the Airports Authority of India are given higher priority for the award of this viability gap funding under the scheme. Okay, this is important. And then under Udaan 4, the operation of helicopters and seaplanes has also been incorporated. अब इस scheme के अंदर helicopters and seaplanes have also been incorporated. Next facts about certain small facts about the Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble Space Telescope के बारे में कुछ चीजें देखते हैं. The Hubble Telescope is a large telescope in space. NASA launched the Hubble in 1990. NASA. It was built by the United States Space Agency NASA with contributions from the European Space Agency. So NASA को कुछ मदद मिली थी ESA से. Okay, and Hubble is the only telescope designed to be serviced in space by astronauts. This is an important fact about it. We have to mark this. So this is the only telescope so far to be designed to be so far the only telescope designed to be serviced in space by astronauts. Okay, so this is the Hubble telescope, as you can see the image, and the expanding frontiers of the universe, expanding the frontiers of the visible universe. The Hubble space looks deep into space with cameras that can see across the entire optical spectrum from infrared to ultraviolet. So basically it has cameras that can look deep into space, that can see across the infrared, across the spectrum from the infrared to the ultraviolet. So basically it can see deep into space. And the Hubble space, this thing is important, that the Hubble Space Telescope makes one orbit around the Earth in every 95 minutes. Remember that it's 95 minutes. It is not 95 days, not 95 hours or 24 hours. No, nothing. It is 95 minutes. It makes one orbit around the Earth. It makes one orbit around the Earth every 95 minutes. What are the significant achievements of this? It has helped in discovering the moons around Pluto. Evidence regarding the existence of black holes emerged based on the observations through Hubble, and the birth of stars through turbulent clouds of gas and dust have also been observed. And the Hubble telescope made observations of 6 galaxies merging together. On February 2011, February 11 2021, the Hubble made observations of small concentrations of black holes. So these are the achievements. We just have an idea about the achievements. And then what we can remember is that it is the only telescope to be designed to be serviced in space by astronauts. What we can remember is that it makes one orbit around the earth every 95 minutes, and it can look deep into space, and that can see, because it has cameras that can see across the entire optical spectrum from infrared to ultraviolet. These three things we can keep in mind. Next, the factors that enabled the growth of the city of Ahmedabad as a textile center. So ये basic है. This is an excerpt from NCRT again. It is from class 8 NCRT, things that we tend to ignore. Right, so the factors that enabled the growth of the city of Ahmedabad as a textile center. See, Ahmedabad is often referred to as the Manchester of India, as it is a major textile region. What are the things that have favored the growth of Ahmedabad as a textile center? एक तो वहाँ पर climate humid है. Okay, the climate is pretty humid because of proximity to coasts. And ये इस तरीके का climate जो है humid is ideal for spinning and weaving. So this is ideal for spinning and weaving. उसके अलावा favorable locational factors हैं, because Ahmedabad is situated in the heart of a cotton growing area. So इससे क्या होता है, easily raw material easily available. Raw material is easily available, and the densely populated states of Gujarat and Maharashtra, they basically provide skilled and semi-skilled labor that is required. There is a well-developed railway and road network, and उसकी वजह से easy transportation हो जाता है textiles का to different parts of the country, and this provides easy access to market. So these are certain facts. Mumbai port nearby facilitates import of machinery and export of cotton textile. What we have to remember here is this could develop as a textile center. One reason is uska climate humid है, which is ideal for spinning and weaving. This is the takeaway. And इसके अलावा locational factors हैं, cotton growing area है आसपास, and Ahmedabad is referred to as the Manchester of India. Now, next quick fact about Nayanars and Alvars. See, so the 7th to 9th century, so this is an excerpt from the NCRT, and ये important हो सकता है, कुछ चीजें हैं यहाँ पर that we can keep in mind. So the 7th to the 9th centuries saw the emergence of new religious movements led by the Nayanars and the Alvars. Who were Nayanars? Nayanars were saints devoted to Shiva. Remember, Shiva. Nayanars, Shiva, and the Alvars were Vishnu. We say Vishnu, you can remember, and Nayanars, you can remember Nayan, so you can remember Shiva that way. Anyhow, so Nayanars, saints devoted to Shiva, and Alvars, saints devoted to Vishnu, and they came from all castes. So ये चीज important है, ये statement important है कि they came from all castes, including वो caste जिनको untouchable माना जाता था उस time पे. So they were people from all castes, and Nayanars were devoted to Shiva, Alvars were devoted to Vishnu, and basically these people drew upon the ideals of love and heroism as found in the Sangam literature. So they drew inspiration from the Sangam literature. They drew the ideals. They drew their ideals from the Sangam literature, and then they blended those ideals of love and heroism with the values of bhakti. Right? Nayanars and Alvars went from place to place, composing exquisite poems in the praise of deities enshrined in the villages they visited. So they used to visit different villages, और वहाँ पर जो deities रहते थे, उनके ऊपर poems compose करते थे. And then they used to set them to music. So that is how they went ahead.